This could be the final game, Mike.
Indeed, it could be the final game, Sean.
This could be the final game of the GeForce SC2 Pro-Am. Right now, MMA is up 2-1 against his opponent. He was at match point last game, but MVP took him down with ease. Can MVP do it again, or will MMA be able to close out this series and take the championship? In the right corner, this is the man that is one game away from victory. It is SlayerSMMA. And down in the Southlands is IMMvp. Duking it out to try not to win in this first best of 5, but just to try to reset the series, as he is from the lower bracket.
Yes, absolutely, Sean. And based on spawn locations alone, MVP, every time he expands, is getting closer and closer to his opponent's main base. So drops can play a huge role on the map Terminus, as there is a lot of places to indeed do that. Or we could see crazy one-base antics, which is always something that is a threat in TVT. So I'm not sure what to expect, but I have a feeling MMA is not going to proxy a factory. And I love that hologram right there.
A little Zergling hologram. That's so great. And it looks like, oh my gosh, Husky, I think that it's now time to do a GSL impersonation. It looks like he is going to be early expanding.
And that is as early as you can get. He does have 15 workers on the field. If you ever wondered what it looks like constructing that building from a different angle,
yeah,
it
actually
really gives a whole new
wrong.
perspective on life. Like, I feel like we're in a whole new world, which makes me want to sing a Disney song.
I think there's nothing wrong with that. Singing is something that can just sometimes just happen. It just needs to get out sometime. So it looks like MVP, who is so traditional, he's been doing this early expand, game in, game out, and now all of a sudden we have MMA, who's going for the slightly riskier early expand. We've seen an almost different build out of MMA every single game now that I think of it, and there's the 2 racks coming in. Everything is just ahead for MMA, but ooh, MVP taking the deviation. He's going to be going for a faster factory.
Yeah, double gas right now means that really the tech tree for the Terran players starts to explode wide open, because there's just so many different things you can do, especially on this map where drop play is so volatile. So is going to be the Banshee Harass if he decides to go ahead and do that. And it's pretty interesting to me that MMA, the last game he took like the biggest risk you can in aggression, and in this game he's taking the biggest risk you can in macro. So he's kind of doing the 2 extremes as extreme as they can get. But on a map like this, it is pretty easy to defend that natural, so it may really pay off for him here.
I really wonder if he might even try to take a faster 3rd command center, but it's going to be a little bit risky if your opponent is going for this fast factory tech. Sometimes players who get a little bit bold will lose to a straight-up tank Marine Viking push at the start of the game. Interested to see what MMA will follow it up with. He has only 1 geyser down, and ooh, that SCV got the chance to spot that orbital command. So given the timing, I mean, MVP is saying, hey, wait a minute, I started my orbital command as fast as I could have, and yours was done.
Yeah.
I know what opening you must be doing. It's literally 1 opening that your opponent can be up to.
And he also is going to know that there's no threat of immediate pressure. Even if MMA adds on a bunch of barracks right now, I mean, the timings of it are just going to be way behind. So that's going to allow MVP to go, okay, do I want to play catch-up, or do I want to play aggression?
Or do I want to play mustard?
I'm not a big fan of playing mustard. I more would rather roll around in a giant pool of ketchup. Is ketchup good for you? I think that it is, because I eat a lot of it. So if there's any good benefit, like it gives you like, I don't know, stronger biceps, I'm gonna have the biggest biceps in the world because all I do is eat ketchup.
I mean, ketchup does certainly provide to your daily needed percentage of red.
Yes. Yes.
It's important to eat a variety of colors in your food, and red is easily taken care of by ketchup, as well as, I guess most American foods contribute to the brown part of that.
The brown, mushy consistency that you absolutely need in your daily diet. Now, we do see the expansion just now getting started for MVP, and this map is very well known for the easy to secure 3rd base. I can't think of any other map ever that has been easier to secure than this one. They made it slightly more difficult. Does this one have the destructible debris? Because I know they change it back and forth all the time. It does have the destructible debris there. Always a threat of opening that up. I think it's going to get me every time, Sean. Just while you're doing that, say line them up, and then I'll just be giggling the entire cast.
I love the idea of doing that.
Line them up. Which I guess kind of makes them, is it parallel? Is that the right word for two lines that are, is this?
Yeah.
All right, I had to make the
motion
hand
that
signals.
you were giving me with your hands is indeed parallel. The opposite of that is perpendicular.
Perpendicular, that's
or
the
more
other one.
commonly orthogonal if you're having trouble with higher dimensional language. Yeah.
Awesome. Now we do see the Marines just in a defensive position, which I think is so brilliant, because not only the threat of Banshees, but also drops are, at this stage of the game, going to be a valid option for killing off an early expanding Terran right now, and he is indeed gonna grab
look at this.
Dem 3rd expansion, and that is at the 8-minute mark? I got a glare on my screen. I think it's 8 minutes, yeah.
And we do see MMA continue to move forward. And if we actually go to the unit counting station, we see 23 Marines, 40 SCVs, and that is it. And meanwhile, does look like there are those 4 Blue Flame Hellions out there moving across. Oh, this is going to be a hell of a crisis right now. How does MMA respond in this situation? He needs to be able to do enough damage, but these SCVs are taking so much pain. And it looks like MMA is deciding to pull back, and these Blue Flame Hellions are just tearing this backside apart.
Yeah, but is there enough damage being dealt right here? Because he's splitting up screens very well. The SCVs have come back, though. Very vulnerable. No, not able to get the shot that he needs, and almost finishes the wall off and is able to evacuate out of there. I do have to mention, though, he didn't get a devastating shot. Yes, he killed a lot of stuff, and it was very good for him, but he wasn't able to whittle down the worker count substantially.
We see that now it's going to be a big Marine play by MVP, who's transitioned into making some Banshees as well. A lot of harassment now coming up for MVP. He has this other Banshee position here, no kills on it yet, and it looks like MVP is trying to draw as many Marines away as he can. He might even just sit in this neck point. And now we have the Cloaked Banshee coming in and doing more harassment.
Yeah, MVP just harassing all over the place. I wouldn't be surprised to see like Reapers jumping up in here soon, trying to kill as many workers as he can, as he is going to be behind the amount of workers reduced. And he also still has that looming drop, always going to be a threat. Needs to be careful with the scan, wants to keep his Banshee alive as long as he can, because he needs to slow down the amount of workers there are, simply because his expansion timings are behind.
Oh, it's such a rough spot for MMA because he knows he wants to try to do the scan and kill it off. He doesn't have stims, so he's not going to be able to be guaranteed to take it down ever. And we see that there's the medevac now trying to slip its way out, and MMA!
Oh my god, 10
life.
HP! No, medevac, what are you doing? He actually could have got shot down there, and that does mean it's most likely going to retreat to be repaired at home. But it does look like MMA has held on for now. Can we just look at the unit stab, Sean? I'm curious on the amount of workers after that. And he was able to pull ahead in the worker count.
We do have the one single Viking flopping his way out to try to deal with this Banshee.
Yeah, that
okay, he's fine.
Was not good, as it just had nowhere to go at that point, trying to get greedy there with that Banshee. And we will see, though, as both players now have their 3rd bases up and running.
Still nothing but Marines getting made, medevacs being produced, but I do think that MMA is going to be delighted to hear that his upgrades are way ahead. He is at 1-1. His opponent is at 0-0. So now all of a sudden MMA is going to get that similar advantage we saw in their Shattered Temple game.
Yep, indeedy. So right now both players just trying to macro up as much as you can, or as much as they can. You can see on the production tab that both players just working towards getting lots of upgrades and lots of stuff. We may see potential for just a little bit of harassment here from MVP out of those Hellions. He decided not to repair them, so they are very low on that HP, not really continuing that production as well. So it does look like MVP going to be moving out here. Needs to be very, very careful, though.
Yeah, I mean, MVP is the sort of person that when he moves out, he means business. He is not trying to do some sort of poking, prodding attack and then pull all the way back. He is really going to try to drill all the way home with this big push. And amazingly, MMA has these siege tanks up in time. I mean, getting these 3 bases so early has been a big help. And these 2-2 upgrades, but at the same time, a counterattack by MMA.
Massive drop here at the 3rd base. May be able to crush all these SCVs, which were for some reason told to attack. And it does look like MVP going to be in a world of hurt right here. He needs to be able to hold this off. Is he going to lose the tank? It did get trapped on a Marine.
No.
And that is going to be a huge loss. So right now, MVP's going to have to run all the way back home to try and defend against just this little drop. Is he going to be able to get the medevac? It's very low. He keeps it alive, which means that he is light years ahead at this stage of the game. And just adding on more and more barracks, more and more units overall. And even before that battle, he killed all 3 of those Hellions with only 2 Marines. So he is looking pretty good.
Meanwhile, MVP does have the 2 factories out, does have the higher barracks count. So that means MVP can sort of snap forward into action a little bit faster than MMA. But MMA has been producing Marines for so long. He still has the superior Marine count, 52 to 40. 3 tanks on the field for MMA, only 2 for MVP, but it is not going to stay that way for long. MMA is moving on out towards his blue opponent and still has, gosh, I thought that was a real medevac. I was wondering why I couldn't click on it. He still has a medevac somewhere.
It reminds me of kind of the campaign when you find units around the map and you gain control of them. That would be an interesting dynamic on a 1 versus 1, but it does look like he's going for it. Needs to be careful because the siege tanks aren't in position. Looks like MVP has committed. Is his concave good enough? No, he decides to back out. And both players, this is the nail-biting scenario where if one player misclicks, then the other player is most likely going to win. But at this point, MMA still has quite the advantage moving forward.
Both these players are very good at not misclicking. And we see more medevacs being produced. 2-2 is so close to being done for MMA. I actually think that that's why he's pulling back. He wants to wait just a little bit longer to be able to engage his opponent. Sensor towers going up all over the place. And because these players watch the minimap like hawks, they are easily going to be able to deal with all sorts of pushes that come from those angles. And look at this. Still not even having that refinery done yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just watching MMA, and he indeed was waiting for those upgrades, seemingly. And honestly, that's very smart. We've seen him have had great success with that in the previous games, where a lot of players, they'll start getting an upgrade, but they don't necessarily know when it's done or kind of time their attacks around it. But it's decisions like that that MMA has shown time and time again are the key to success. And he does have a pretty good position here in the center of the map. I'm really curious how he's going to go about moving forward. Is he going to engage directly into this army, or is he just going to expand and get map control? So far, it seems like he's going to be doing the expansion.
Slide 3 level upgrade has just started in terms of attack. Armor can begin in just a moment. No engagement has quite managed to take hold yet. MVP, per usual, has been on the defense for much of this game, and it looks like, oh, there's MMA. He's found the opportunity. He's taken it. He wants to try to pick off these tanks on this backside. He is drilling into this right side flank. Tanks are kind of being able to support, and oh, some big hits on the top side. Managed to clean that up, and it looks like MMA is just going for it. This is an incredibly ballsy play.
That may have been the tournament-winning decision, as he was able to carve that army down to virtually nothing. And on top of that, he still is at a supply lead. His macro is going to be a little bit better too, because I think he'll be able to defend his own expo much easier. It does look like he's going directly for these rocks. Is he going to run down to that third base? That would be a very, very, again, ballsy maneuver. Does look like he's going to do just that. These SCVs are going to be vulnerable. This is such a tense moment. If MMA can win this battle, no, runs past the siege tanks. Horrible AI on those Marines, and that is a devastating loss for MVP.
Oh, this tank play by MMA was the big key. Now loading up these Marines, heading over to these vulnerable tanks. He is working his way left and right and slowly picking apart this push force. And here comes MVP trying to defend, but MMA in too many places at once. It looks like MMA took down MVP in one best of 5, and he might be able to do it again. And there he is, MMA, your GeForce SC2 Pro-Am Grand Champion, walking away with $4,725 US. And that top-of-the-line GeForce graphics card, the GTX 590.
Oh,
what a phenomenal play.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Is what phenomenal play out of MMA, going up against MVP, one of the best Terrans ever in all of the StarCraft 2 land, and he was able to crush him multiple times. MMA never getting defeated throughout this tournament, and very deservingly so, takes that first place prize. So I just have to say thank you, everyone, for following along in the tournament, and that you can bet your biscuits we are going to work and try and make a season number 2. So once that rolls around, I've been waiting all season to say this, make sure to sign up, which I've said it actually like 800 times this season. But when it rolls around, guys, make sure to sign up. Your games could be casted by me in Day 9. And what an amazing tournament this has been, Sean.
Huge congrats to the Grand Champion MMA for taking down IMMvp. And huge congrats to the open sign-up winner, Complexity's RSVP, for taking down Xenix Hack, the top Korean pro, in those finals. All around, an extremely kick-ass tournament.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Sean, you can find all the videos on your website, Day9TV, day9.tv, and also on my YouTube channel, just Husky StarCraft on there. All the games we've cast throughout the season, you can tune in. And in Season 2, we will be putting videos there as well, so you can follow the tournament much more closely. So I have to say, it has been amazing casting with you, Sean, but after that Zerg game, I just need to rest my voice right now. That
I understand.
Ridiculous.
I understand. We still remember what went down on Shattered Temple between MVP and Dark Force.
What a ridiculous game that was indeed. So, I think we're done. I think we're going to sign this out. Thank you guys for tuning in, whether it's the live stream, the online Barcraft, a real Barcraft, watching it at work when you should be doing other things. It's people like you who are making esports as awesome as it should be, and Sean just threw his pin inside of an open computer, but we're still here, so that's good.
Hoping it works out all right. So for now, I'm Day9.
I'm Husky.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
You're also
Peace.
pretty.
Thank you. You're very pretty today.